A P-47 makes the run, armed with the same 130-pound missiles aimed by the plane's glide. These attacks are made at 300 miles per hour, the rockets hitting with terrific force.
Aircraft attacking ground targets began with machine guns, then bombs. Soon rockets were in use.
The plane swerved sharply.
The RS-82 rocket was unguided, fired from rails under the wing, and first used in Operation Barbarossa against the Germans. The British developed the RP-3 rocket, a 55-inch long, 3-inch diameter steel tube, hence its name of the 3-incher, filled with 11 pounds or 5 kilograms of cordite as the propellant, which was fired electrically. The warhead was attached to the end of the rocket, and at first was a solid 3.44-inch armor-piercing shell. This type of warhead was found to be ineffective against the new German Tiger tanks, and a larger 60-pound or 27-kilogram high-explosive head was used, powerful enough to blow the turret off a tank. The rocket had a range of 1 mile or 1,600 meters and a maximum speed of 480 meters per second. 4 small tail fins supplied stability to the rocket, which, unguided, required the skill of the pilot to hit a target effectively. The rockets were fitted to rails under the aircraft's wings and an electric cable attached to the propellant charge. The Americans had the Air Force's 3.5-inch FAR or folding fin aircraft rocket, and the Navy had the 5-inch FASR and HVAR. For shore bombardment, these proved very effective prior to amphibious assault. Special LCTs were fitted out with 1,000 launchers and 5,000 rockets. They were simply anchored offshore and pointed towards the beach. They are said to have had the equivalent firepower to 200 destroyers. The surface-based rocket launcher was developed parallel to the airborne variant. As with earlier times, the artillery made use of rocket launchers as an adjunct to their main armament. The Nebelwerfer was a towed rocket artillery launcher. 1.3 meters long and weighing 540 kilograms, they were 6-barreled. With a caliber of 150 millimeters, their maximum range was 6.8 kilometers. The rocket was Wurfgranate 41 or Rocket Shell 41 and weighed 34 kilograms. A later model, the Nebelwerfer 42, had 5 barrels and a caliber of 210 millimeters. These rockets had a range of 8 kilometers. The Soviets developed the Katyusha rocket system at the beginning of the Second World War. Utilized as rocket artillery, these unguided rockets were able to deliver a devastating amount of explosives to a small area. The rockets ran off rails mounted on various types of vehicles. There were the BM-13 launcher, the BM-8, and the heavy BM-31. The M-13 rocket consisted of 180 centimeter long by 12.2 centimeter diameter tubing with a nitrocellulose propellant charge with a single nozzle giving it the range of 5.4 kilometers. The warhead was either fragmentation, HE, or shaped charge. Terribly inaccurate, they were very effective with firing salvos of 7 to 10 seconds, devastating an area. When large numbers of these launchers were employed together in batteries, the bombardment could saturate several hectares with high explosives. Later, the larger diameter rockets were employed, the 82mm M8 and the 310mm M31. The success of the Katyusha multiple rocket system has survived till today, with many variants in use in many countries. The BM-21 and larger BM-27 have advanced warheads, some multiple projectiles or bomblets or landmines, others capable of delivering chemical weapons. In 1943, a variant of the US M4 Sherman medium tank, the T-34 Calliope, was developed. It carried 60 rocket launch tubes, each 4.6-inch or 116.8mm diameter. It saw service between 1944 and 45. Another variant, the Sherman Tulip, carried two 3-inch rocket tubes on its turret for RP-3 rockets. The modern artillery rocket launcher is the M270 Grid Square RS, which saw service in the Gulf Wars. With a range of 42 kilometers, newer munitions are guided and/or with submunition warheads. The Grid Square Removal Service is a nickname given to one such munition that can blanket an entire 1 kilometer square area with high explosives. The 1940s also saw the development of the larger version of these artillery rockets, the large ballistic missile. Although rocket-powered propulsion was being developed in several countries many years earlier by people like Robert H. Goddard of Massachusetts in the USA, his interest was purely scientific, although he did once approach the US Army with his invention, which they declined. He did develop a bazooka that was introduced in the Second World War. By the time he died in 1945, Goddard held 214 patents in rocketry. Early in World War II, the German army developed the Faustpatrone, a small, lightweight, one-man-operated projectile launcher with an armor-piercing warhead. It was technically not a rocket, but was propelled by a charge of black powder, unguided, and with a range of 30 meters. It led directly to the Panzerfaust, a larger and more effective version, and then the Panzerschreck, which was a large 88mm tube launcher with accompanying shield and targeting reticle. The rocket had a range of 150 meters and a shaped charge warhead of 3.3 kilograms. Its drawback was the amount of smoke generated that pinpointed the firer immediately. The British had developed the Piat anti-tank weapon based on the spigot mortar concept. The Piat utilized a powerful spring to discharge the projectile and trigger the propellant charge. Relatively quiet and smokeless, it could be used in enclosed spaces. The American bazooka, like the Panzerfaust, utilized a tube launch system with an electrically fired rocket projectile, although the bazooka in its various forms was unreliable and prone to failure. The Soviets took the German design and developed the RPG-1 and RPG-2, and eventually the now common and plentiful RPG-7. With a 300-meter range, the projectile is launched from the tube, then ignites a solid propellant rocket motor, giving it a flat, quick trajectory towards its target. Like most other anti-armor weapons, the warhead is a shaped charge high explosive. RPG-18 is a single-shot fire-and-throw-away type weapon introduced during the Afghan conflict with the Soviet Union, probably fashioned after the American Laws rocket. As an example of the disposable society, the M72 Laws rocket was a one-shot, discardable rocket launcher. Compact and issued in large numbers, the launch tube was two-piece and extended to arm the device. It fired an unguided, shaped charge warhead with flip-out fins.